there everyone! In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you the second episode in this super chunky multi-strand series. So obviously my first one I will link in the description box down below, which is the ridged blanket, but this one is the one that actually won the poll that I ran on my channel earlier in the week, and this is the Fluffy Clouds baby blanket. So obviously if you're used to my channel you may well have watched that tutorial already, but this is just the same pattern but just done in this multi-strand technique. So it is a massively chunky blanket and I'm using a 15mm hook and 6 strands of yarn. Now I will leave a link I will leave a list in the description of the yarns that I'm using for this particular colourway, because it's a really nice combination of solid colours and also 2 variegated ones as well. But it's a really beautiful blanket, and as with the other Fluffy Clouds tutorial, you can see the amazing amount of texture that you get, and it's also reversible. So let's crack on with this version 2 of the Fluffy Clouds blanket. So as you can see, I've got my 6 strands and I'm using 2 variegated and 4 solid colours. So this is a really simple pattern, but will give you amazing texture, and I'm really excited to see how everyone works it up using the multi-strand technique. So obviously you're going to start with your slip knot on your hook, and your foundation chain needs to be done in an even number. So obviously using multiple strands at once does take a little bit of getting used to, but an even number. So yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through, and you're just going to continue that until your chain is the width that you require for your project. So if you want to continue and make sure it's an even number, and I will meet you back in just a moment. Okay, so for my blanket I have done a chain of 66, but obviously you can do any size that you like. But once you have completed your even number of chains, you want to add an additional 3 chains to the end of your foundation chain. So I've done my even number plus 3. We're now going to work back along doing the start of our pattern, and we're going to start in the 3rd chain from the hook. So you don't count the loop on your hook. So we've got 1, 2, and this is our 3rd chain. And we're going to do a UK treble into that stitch. So remember, in the US, this is your double crochet. So it's the exact same stitch, but we just call it different things. So yarn over, insert into that 3rd chain, yarn over and pull up. You'll have 3 loops on your hook now. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops. We're then going to skip 2 chains. So we've worked into this one, you can see it's pulled up there. So we're going to skip 1 and 2, and then we're going to do a cluster of 3 stitches into this 3rd chain. So we're going to start with a UK double, so a US single. So insert your hook straight into that chain, yarn over and pull up. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both of those loops. So that is a UK double. We're now going to follow that up with 2 UK trebles into that same stitch. So yarn over, insert into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops. So that's 1 treble, so we want another one in that stitch as well. So yarn over and insert, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through the final 2 loops. So that is your very first cluster of stitches. We're going to repeat that now all the way along. We're going to skip 2 chains, so skip 1 and 2, and then 1 double and 2 trebles into the next stitch. So yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and then 2 trebles. So yarn over, all in that same stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the final 2, and another treble in that stitch, in that chain, sorry. So this foundation row can be a little tricky because obviously it's always the hardest part of your blanket, is just setting up this very first row. So if you continue that now all the way along, you're going to skip 2 chains and then do your double and 2 trebles into the next, skip 2, and so on and so forth, and I will meet you at the other end in just a minute. So I've worked all the way along now. I've done my final set of double and 2 trebles, and I've got 1 stitch left just here before my slip knot, and into that very final stitch you are going to do 1 double crochet. So remember, that's UK double. So insert your hook into that final chain, yarn over and pull up, and yarn over, pull through both, and that is your foundation row completed. So you should have something that looks a little bit like this, and it might not look like much at the minute, but as we work up it will make the most incredible texture. So now we want to turn our work. So I'm not going to chain anything, I'm just going to turn, and then into this very first stitch here where our working end of yarn actually is at the minute, you're just going to make sure you pull that working end around. You're going to insert your hook into that space, go through the whole of that stitch, make sure you've got your V, yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through both, and you can see that that stitch now has 2 vertical parts to it. You want to insert your hook behind that side, yarn over, pull up, and yarn over, pull through both, and that just gives us a nice thick stitch rather than doing a chain. And then we're also going to do another treble into that very same stitch, so yarn over, back into that same stitch, and complete your treble. You should be well used to doing them by now. So we've got 2 trebles in that very first stitch. We are now going to skip over the next 2 stitches, so we're going to skip 1 and 2, and we're going to work our cluster into that 3rd stitch, and that 3rd stitch should be your UK double from the previous row. So we're going to skip 1, 2, and then you're going to do your double and 2 trebles into this stitch, but remember, go through the whole of the stitch making sure you've got the V. So double and 2 trebles, so it's 1, and 2, and then again you're going to skip 2 stitches, so 1, 2, and then into the top of your double from the previous row you're going to do your next cluster. So you're going to do your double and your 2 trebles into that stitch. It's 1 treble, and 2 trebles. So you're going to continue that now all the way along. So skip 2 stitches and then your cluster into the next, and I will meet you as you get towards the other end in just a second, and then the next row will be your pattern repeat. So I've completed mine all the way to pretty much the end now. I've done my final set of clusters here into that last double crochet space from the previous row. And I don't actually know why I said earlier in the video that the next row was the repeat row, because technically this row is the repeat row as well. This is the row that you will do over and over again. But I will finish off this one with you now. And you're not going to skip 2 stitches this time at the end, you're just going to skip this one. So this is the top of that very first treble that we made on the foundation row. So we're going to skip that one and into this stitch just here. So the next one along, you're going to do 1 double crochet, so UK double crochet into that, what was initially the turning chain. So skip 1, and then you're going to do your UK double into that little turning chain. So yarn over and pull through both, and that has finished off your row. And this is how you should be looking. So already you should be able to see these massive bobbly bundles of texture that you will get on both sides. So you can see already it's going to be the most amazing textured, heavy, super chunky blanket. So I will start off this next row with you. So we're going to turn, but remember this row is exactly the same as the previous one. So you're going to turn, and into this very first stitch just here, you're going to work your fat stitch. So yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and then you've got your 2 vertical sections of the stitch. Going to go behind that side one, yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through both. So that has created your first treble stitch, and then back into that same space you're going to do an ordinary treble as well. And then you're back to the pattern of skipping 2, and then your cluster of stitches, skip 2, cluster of stitches. So do that all the way along just like you did in the last row, and I will see you one final time at the other end to firm up that very final stitch placement. Okay, so as per the last row, I have finished my final cluster of stitches. I'm going to skip 1 stitch and into the next stitch, which should be the top of that very first stitch you did on the previous round, you're going to do a UK double. So skip 1 and double. And that is your next row complete. So you can repeat that row now over and over again as many times as you need to until your project is as big as you want it to be. But that is it for the tutorial part itself. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and do remember to come and tag me on Instagram in any of your things that you make from my videos. But I will see you for another tutorial again very soon. Bye!